The pain started about 2 or 3 years ago at a volleyball tournament. I just noticed I had some pain in my left shoulder, and then we went to an orthopedic doctor because it was shoulder pain. We didn't think anything about my heart.
We followed her playing volleyball ever since she was in 7th grade.
She'd been playing in pain for a couple years, and it had seemed to get progressively worse. So we continued searching, even after she got through physical therapy, trying to figure out what was going on and why she was still having pain and it wasn't getting any better. We got another opinion, another doctor who did more different types of therapy.
They're always thinking that this is only to do with her nerves. Thinking somehow a nerve is getting pinched somewhere up in here and causing pain down this arm.
The pain just kept getting worse, and it started to radiate down my arm, and then it felt like it was moving into my chest more. I asked if it was my heart because that's where it felt like the pain was, but they didn't even run any tests on me to check that it was or not.
I am an employee of the school, but that evening I was actually coming to the volleyball game as a mom. So for the past 6 years, I've been on the Code Blue team, and we just run drills about 4 times a year in order to be prepared in case an emergency were to arise on our campus.
I picked Claire up partway through the day and took her to a doctor's appointment for the pain that she'd been having in her shoulder. We were back at school that afternoon for her senior night volleyball game.
So my coach was really good, and my teammates were really good about letting me sub in and out whenever I felt like I needed a break. So as soon as I would start hurting to the point where I didn't think I could keep going, they would let me sub out, and then I'd sit for a few minutes, and then I'd go back in, and then I'd do that every game. That night at the game, I had severe chest pain and pain down my shoulder and down my arm into my hand, and I was having a hard time breathing, and like I could feel my heart, like it felt like it was coming out of my chest.
She's the setter on the team, and so she had gone up to set the ball, and you see her kind of backing out. She kind of backs away from the net, and I'm watching her. I mean, I can see her. I was on the front row of the bleachers, and I see her just fall flat. Eric and I were the first two to her side. The color was drained from her face. Her eyes were kind of rolled back. She was very clenched up, like she was having a seizure, and she was not responding. Like, you know, I'm there and I'm kind of shaking her, but she's not responding, and I think we just immediately started yelling help.
When Claire hit the ground, it wasn't as if she collapsed to the ground. She literally fell straight back, and the sound of her head hitting the hardwood floor really was a game stopper. It's a sound that I will never forget. Her parents, Eric and Lisa, immediately run to her, and very quickly behind them are 2 other first responders. Claire's turning white. Her eyes are unresponsive. She has a very disturbing gurgling sound in her throat. As they're beginning CPR, because of my Code Blue training, I know that literally 30 steps out the door is an AED. So we got the AED to Claire in about 30 seconds. They finished about 2 rounds of CPR while I was putting the pads on Claire, turning it on. The AED immediately started to prompt us as to what to do. It told us to continue CPR. The AED prompted us to shock Claire. And honestly, that was really scary for me. I had Eric and Lisa at Claire's head, and they were crying and praying. And I thought, you want me to shock a 17-year-old? Are you kidding me? And so actually the first time the AED prompted me to shock, I did not shock Claire. I kind of looked at everyone and I said, it's telling me to shock her, what should I do? And about 6 seconds later, the AED prompted me again. It said, shock advised. And they just gave me the confidence that I needed. They said, Julie, you've got to push the button. And so I pushed the button. And it was literally like you see on television. I mean, Claire literally lifted off the gym floor. The AED prompted us to continue CPR, which we did. And then about 3.5, 4 minutes in, right after Claire hit the floor, life started to return in Claire.
Oh, I do remember feeling nauseous right before, and then blacking out and waking up on the floor with a bunch of people surrounding me, and I thought I'd passed out. And I was really confused why the AED was on and well, I couldn't feel my legs or my arms. It was scary.
So the ambulance arrived about 11 and a half minutes after Claire hit the ground. Doing CPR for 11 and a half minutes would not have been enough to save Claire. So I'm just so thankful that the AED was literally 30 steps away and that we had what we needed to save her life. Claire is happy, she is whole, she is going to college. She's gonna have a great future because we had what we needed to save her life.
Sudden cardiac arrest is essentially when the heart quits beating efficiently and blood quits flowing. So when someone goes down or collapses in cardiac arrest, there's no blood flowing to the brain or the heart. Those are the two organs that are most sensitive to lack of blood flow. CPR allows for continuing some blood flow to the brain and the heart while the paramedics and the EMTs are on their way. If CPR is initiated as quick as possible, it preserves the brain and saves the heart muscle from permanent damage or lack of oxygen, which can cause brain death. Those few minutes of CPR that keep the blood going to the brain and the heart are very essential for the best of outcome, and that's to return to normal life.
The chain of survival displays the critical actions needed to save someone's life. Recognize cardiac arrest and call 911. Give immediate, high-quality CPR. Use an AED as soon as possible. First responders will arrive to take over care. The hospital will coordinate advanced care. CPR combines external chest compressions with breaths. Rescue breaths provide oxygen to the lungs. Chest compressions squeeze the heart, pushing blood from the heart to the lungs to pick up oxygen. Between each compression, the heart refills with blood. Repeated chest compressions deliver oxygen throughout the body. Let's start with chest compressions, the most important part of CPR. Kneel at the victim's side. Place your hands in the center of the chest between the nipples with the heel of one hand on top of the other. Lift your fingers off the chest. Position your shoulders directly over your hands. Keep your arms straight and push down hard. If chest compressions are too shallow, blood flow is inadequate and CPR is just not effective. Push hard to create adequate blood flow. Compress the chest downward at least 2 inches for an adult. Compressions must also be fast enough. Compressions that are too slow produce very little blood flow. Maintain a compression rate between 100 and 120 beats per minute for the best results. If you push too slow or too fast, your compressions are less effective. Many consistent compressions are needed to keep the blood flowing. When you stop compressions, the blood flow stops, and the heart and brain no longer receive oxygen. It takes time for the blood to start circulating again. Minimize interruptions to compressions to keep the blood flowing and make CPR more effective. Allow the chest to rise fully between compressions. If you lean on the chest, the blood flow produced by compressions will be reduced, making CPR less effective. Take your full weight off the chest between each compression. Now it's time to practice high-quality chest compressions on a mannequin.